Affirmative.
She's calling back. We're going to try to give her a call again, and then she just added another phone number to the 13-year-old grandson who's possibly with the daughter. Step out with this.
2412.
Veteran crisis hotline's calling in, so they have a female veteran off her medication. She's over at the safe haven. You're checking 12, we'll check that one out.
6 Rumble, 2 1 started, you shot us.
Also still stands for time? No. Offender in custody? Thanks. Anyone else close by this result, let me know. First number. 10-4. Also still stands for time? No. Offender in custody? Thanks. Anyone else close by this result, let me know. 10-5.
3-3. Can you let us supervisor know that I have a case report with this person?
1830. I'm sorry, we're not copying your lunch. Try it one more time, puppy. 847 Fulton. 847 Fulton, okay. 4235 units coming over to domestic battery at 1815 North Winchester, 1815 North Winchester. Danny stated the caller is the owner of the vehicle. Thank you. Alright, the ET doesn't take pictures of the domestic civilians.
Thank you, everybody, for joining this revisit combo episode, Unveiling and Exploring Sigma Chi Fraternity, where we went through the hierarchy, we went through the rituals, and we even have a little something extra for you. So sit back, relax, enjoy this combo revisit as we unveil and explore Sigma Chi Fraternity. Thank you all. Please hit the like if you haven't yet. If you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. And here we go. I want to say thank you so much for hopping in this evening. We'll say hellos here in a minute. First, I want to apologize. I almost had to bump it back a little bit because these technical issues with StreamYard, I don't know. It's like all night last night, it was like disconnecting my microphone. I don't know. Don't get it. So it was having some issues because I usually get in and I kind of like get everything set up like 20 minutes before the show. And yeah, I was having some issues. It kept booting me out. I'm like, are you serious? Right before I'm going to do this? So I apologize in advance if there's any kind of issues with it. All right, so the first thing I want to kind of read through this, give you guys a little read through of this here. Sigma Chi International Fraternity is one of the largest North American fraternal literary societies. The fraternity has 244 active undergraduate chapters and 152 alumni chapters across the United States and Canada, and has initiated over 350,000 members. The fraternity was founded on June 8, 1855 at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, by members who split from the Delta Kappa Epsilon fraternity. Miami University in Ohio. Shout out to you. Ben Roethlisberger played there. Sigma Chi is divided into 7 operational entities: the Sigma Chi Fraternity, the Sigma Chi Foundation, the Sigma Chi Canadian Foundation, the Risk Management Foundation, Constantine Capital, and the newly organized institution. The purpose of this fraternity Sigma Chi was founded. Isaac M. Daniel William Cooper, Franklin Howard Scobie, and James Parks Caldwell, as the result of a disagreement over who would be elected poet in the, and I'm going to butcher this, Arkadelphian Literary Society of Miami University in Ohio. Wow, that's pretty damn good. All right. Several members of Miami University's Delta Kappa Epsilon chapter, of which all but one of Sigma Chi's founders were members, were also members of the Arkadelphian Literary Society. In the fall of 1854, the Literary Society was to elect its poet, and a member of Delta Kappa Epsilon was nominated for the position. He was supported by 5 of his brothers, but 4 others, which I just mentioned, supported another man who was not a member of the fraternity. Although Thomas Bell and Daniel Cooper were not members of Arkadelphian, they had aligned themselves with the 4 dissenting members. The chapter had 12 members total and were evenly divided on the issue. Both sides saw this as a matter of principle, and over the next few months, their friendships became distanced. I mean, it's, people who don't agree breaking off into another group. It's time after time. In February 1855, Runkle and his companions planned a dinner for their brothers in an attempt to seal the rift. Whitelaw Reid, one of the brothers who supported the Delta Kappa Epsilon member as poet, was the only one to arrive. Reid brought a Delta Kappa Epsilon alumnus named Minor Milliken from a town nearby. Reid had told Milliken his side of the dispute, and they had arrived to punish the group for not supporting their Delta Kappa Epsilon brother. The leaders of the rebellion, Runkle and Scobie, were to be expelled from the fraternity. The other 4 would be allowed to stay in the fraternity. Runkle resigned, and after the parent chapter at Yale University was contacted, all 6 men were formally expelled. Then the 6 men decided to form their own fraternity, along with Lockwood, a student from New York who had not joined a fraternity, and on June 28, 1855, the organization was founded under the name Sigma Phi Fraternity. Lockwood used his business training to help organize the fraternity in its early years. The eventual theft of Sigma Phi's constitution, ritual seals, and other records from Lockwood's room in Oxford in January 1856 prompted them to change the name of the fraternity to Sigma Chi. It is possible this action could have been forced upon the group as they were already a Sigma Phi society. So they copied shit right off the bat. Much of Sigma Chi's heraldry was inspired by the legendary story of the Emperor Constantine from the Battle of Milvian Bridge against Maxentius. The White Cross and the motto In Hoc Signo Vincis are examples of the Constantine link. So I'll just skim through this a little bit. This is the backgrounds. The early years, the Constantine chapter. Purdue in 1876. 20th century. The badge of Sigma Chi is a white cross with white and black enamel. 2 gold chains connect the 2 upper arms. Cross keys are in the upper arm, and an eagle's head lies in the left arm, and a scroll lies in its right arm. In the bottom arm lie 2 clasped hands and 7 stars. The seal of Sigma Chi is circular. On the outer edge is Sigma Chi Fraternity, and at the bottom are the numbers 1855. In the middle lie 7 stars and 7 branched candlestick. The crest of Sigma Chi is a blue Norman shield with a white cross in its center. On top of the Norman shield is a scroll and a crest of an eagle's head holding a key. Below it, the fraternity public motto, and I know I'm butchering this, In Hoc Signo Vincis, is placed on a scroll. It can be translated as, In this sign thou shalt conquer. Officers in undergraduate chapters mostly have titles derived from Imperial Rome. The top officers of each chapter are known as the consul, president, proconsul, vice president, annotator, secretary, quaestor, treasurer, magister, pledge trainer, custos, sergeant-at-arms, tribune, communications, risk manager, and historian. Those titles are the primary officers common to all the chapters. chapters also have other positions, such as social chairman, sports chairman, scholarship chairman, house manager, recruitment chairman, etc., plus other positions and titles varying from chapter to chapter. Alumni chapter positions and duties may also vary from chapter to chapter. Alumni chapters use the most common office titles such as president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. So, as you can see, as we're reading into this, you can see how it's set up like the political system. All right. So, in the beginning, you had people of a particular party that didn't agree with what the majority of the party was going with, and so they broke off and created their own party. And within those different parties, they have their hierarchies as well. And a lot of it is based off of government and history. Like it's the Romans. So, Grand Officers, the international organization uses similar Roman titles, typically with the prefix of Grand. The Grand Consul is the international president of Sigma Chi. He presides over the executive committee and the Grand Chapter. You'll see and hear a lot of these words and some of the stuff that we're going to watch in a little bit. You'll see a lot of these titles being talked about. So definitely, I'll put the link to this out there again, or you can just Wikipedia Sigma Chi, and it'll have the same stuff, and you can actually see, like, if you need to go back to this, it's a great way. It breaks it all down very well. So the Grand Chapter, you'll hear that a lot too. The Grand Chapter is the supreme legislative body of Sigma Chi and convenes on odd-numbered years. It is composed of one delegate from each active undergraduate chapter and alumni chapter, the Grand Council and past Grand Councils each being entitled to one vote. The Grand Chapter elects the officers of the fraternity as well as alter or amend the Constitution, statutes, and executive committee regulations. See what I'm saying? It may grant or revoke charters as well as discipline any chapter, office, or member. The most recent Sigma Chi Grand Chapter was held in Providence, Rhode Island on June 28th to 24th, 2018. I don't know about a cult. If you have to look at it look at the politics in the government, okay? And look at the Republicans, the Democrats, the Independents, but think about it as there's more parties, okay? Not that, I'm not saying that they necessarily battle each other, because they don't necessarily battle each other in that way. It's organizations of parties that have the higher, how do you put it? It's like the minor leagues. It really makes you think of the political system like the Democrats, Republicans, in a way. It's the executive committee meets at least 4 times a year. Now, is there competition between the Sigma Chi chapters with the other Sigma Chi chapters? Of course. And again, this is on Wikipedia. Controversies and member misconduct. This is all the way back to the 20th century. In 1965, the Sigma Chi chapter at Stanford University in Stanford, California, was disaffiliated from the National Fraternity Organization when it refused to abide by the whites-only membership policy of the national organization. The policy of the national organization was changed in 1971 to eliminate the racial discrimination. In 2002, the chapters at University of Missouri and University of Kansas were both suspended for 4 years for a severe hazing incident. In 2004, a 19-year-old University of Oklahoma freshman was found unalived in the Sigma Chi fraternity house. The university suspended its recognition of the Beta Kappa chapter. In 2006, the Beta Kappa chapter of Sigma Chi was reinstated at the University of Oklahoma, so just after 2 years. In 2008, the chapter at San Jose State University in San Jose, California, found a member, Gregory Johnson Jr., yes, in a basement on November 22nd, 2008. Suspended is a better way to put it, okay? I have to think of YouTube here. Suspended. Ruled it self-unalive at the time. A group of activists in 2020 later publicized their concerns over what they believed to be an incomplete investigation of Johnson's unalive, citing the possibility of racist motivations. 2009, the chapter at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln was suspended for hazing and alcohol consumption violations. The hazing pledges endured included taking shots of Tabasco hot sauce and vodka until they vomited. They were ordered to do strenuous exercises while their big brothers threw objects at them, and one pledge was randomly chosen and was, yes, da 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 da. Again, you can read the unedited version at Wikipedia. 8 members were arrested and charged with hazing and providing alcohol to minors. In 2012, the chapter at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, was sued by a former pledge after they were severely beaten by fraternity members at a party that resulted in serious injuries, depression, and severe anxiety. The chapter was also in 2013, the chapter at Auburn University was suspended by the organization for hazing. The University of Dayton was suspended for 3 years for damaging a store's property and more. A fraternity member at Westminster College in St. Louis served 120 days in jail for violently beating up one of the brothers. The chapter at the University of Central Florida in Orlando was placed on suspension after photos surfaced on social media of pledges being forced to consume alcohol. Hazing. The president of the university was temporarily banning all Greek life on activities on campus. 2014, 3 Sigma Chi members. So, again, you can read all of these at Wikipedia. Obviously they're going to be at different universities, and it's all boiling down to the same thing. All sorts of different universities. Okay. Underage drinking, hazing, assaults, other stuff that we can't say. So Ohio University, Stanford, assaults and all that. Okay. So again, here's the link. You can read everything. There's just some stuff that I didn't want to read out of respect. We will get into some of this other stuff that I have for you guys. Now we get into the video portion. I just kind of read you the background, kind of gave you introduction to a lot of the hierarchy, the ranks, the titles, the positions, a little breakdown of that, and their basic background. So this is a video from the Sigma Chi fraternity, so I'm going to go ahead and put that up here for you guys.
In 1855, the seeds of something great were beginning to grow. What it might become, those young men in Oxford, Ohio had not concept nor idea. Instead, they focused on their values and beliefs, values that led to the birth of Sigma Chi.
In my case, Sigma Chi gave me a value system that I have lived by all these years.
I think the founders, they did so much for us, and I think it's tough to focus in on just one, but I think we do a good job of kind of combining all three. So we think about the friendship piece, the justice piece, and the learning. And I think the founders really, they brought to us a holistic fraternity and an opportunity to grow in each one of those areas. So I think we're doing ourselves an injustice only to focus on one.
One of the biggest lessons is just being a brother. Like, they were always there for each other. From the things I've read, and I'll just try to be there for my brothers.
Do things the right way, do them with energy and courage and conviction, and in the long run, you will succeed.
A high sense of honor and a deep sense of personal responsibility. To me, that probably is the strongest value statement that one can have. And it's probably the most powerful compass that one can have as well.
The founders were all about action. They made sure that there were not hypocrites, ever. They had a code of values, the ones that we hold dear today. And they lived those every day. And it was natural to them because nothing else would be acceptable.
It's given me such a compass to live my life by, a moral compass. I guess it's kind of given me some spirituality as well. And, that's something that was absent in my life.
But for me, it's integrity. I think the concept of all the different ideals and temperaments and convictions that we have in Sigma Chi are so complex and so deep. But I think that when you start with integrity, everything else flows from there.
Man is by nature and education a social being. There is something in the human heart and mind which makes us crave and seek association with our fellow men.
But is it enough?
Of course. We want sympathy, friendship, knowledge, and protection. A mind that thinks as we think, a heart that feels as we feel, knowledge which comes from social intercourse, protection which comes from those interested in our welfare and happiness. The pleasures of life are sweeter when enjoyed with others, and its toils and burdens lighter when others share them with us.
I fear your passion is too much, and your words will get us into trouble.
Man naturally seeks another self, a kindred spirit. Many men are wiser than one man, and each brings something to the common treasure. May I not say, therefore, that great profit may be derived from such association, and that the pleasures derived from it may continue with us through life.
I still question if it's the right course of action.
To challenge them, yes, without question. Our trust in these men was misplaced, or I believe it to be. We must confront them and stand for our convictions.
And what then?
What then? We go on to form new associations, new connections, new bonds.
And who will write the letter? Our job as brothers is to make each other the best men we can possibly make each other be. And the only way we can do that is by helping each other, and that includes holding each other accountable, so we can be the better men and make a difference in the world, because that's what Sigma Chi expects of each and every one of us.
Faced with a hard choice, Yeah, you've got to be able to come back to your values.
How does this further friendship, justice, and learning? And when you know that something is detrimental to those purposes and detrimental to the sanctity of our brotherhood, you have to show some courage. And just like when Benjamin Pyarunkel threw down his Deke badge on that table, it takes some motivation, it takes some conviction, and it takes a lot of courage. That's one of the reasons that's one of our ideals, is it does take a lot of courage to do the right thing in a lot of different situations.
That's back to being consistent with the values. It's always hard to confront anyone, particularly someone that you really care for. But if you don't hold them accountable to what they voluntarily agreed to do and be, you're not doing your job.
An unwillingness to put up with something that they thought it's wrong. It should not be this way. We cannot live with it. We'll have to do something on our own.
They had an injustice that happened, and they didn't think, well, we'll just, we'll let that go by. They said, no, there's something wrong that's happened here. And they confronted the issue and held their fellow Deke members accountable.
Dear Brother Witt, we 6 loyal members of the Kappa chapter of the Delta Kappa Epsilon fraternity invite the 6 of you to be our guest at supper, date, place, and our name, with the purpose on our part of discussing with you the issue that has arisen between us in relation to the candidates for the office of poet in the Aradelphian Literary Society. You are determined in supporting Omar Newman, a member of our chapter, for the office named. That is your privilege and your right, and we do not question it. But we do not think that Omar is the candidate best qualified, and we propose to vote for a man of our own choice. Is that right?
Of course. I wrote it. I will stand behind it.
I'm still skeptical, but I will stand with you.
That's the spirit, Frank.
With a united front, we're strong, just as strong as they are.
But we are their juniors. They will think of us as freshmen.
There are no freshmen when justice is at stake.
How do you propose the issue be resolved?
I don't know.
I think the biggest challenge is really making sure that at every turn you're living those values, that every day you're really bringing it to life. It's tough to bring your best self, to work, to class, to the fraternity every day. And I think that's the biggest challenge, is figuring out, how you can get out of bed in the morning and still live the values even on your off day.
It would be really to start understanding the greater good we can do when we just live by the ritual.
Accountability is actually the most difficult part of true brotherhood. But without it, we don't have true brotherhood. So we must hold each other accountable, because that's all part of making each other the best man we can possibly be.
The founders themselves were so adept, remarkably adept at navigating decisions that they had to make because they stayed true to their principles.
How do we expect to look and use and read and learn the greatest leadership book ever written if we can't even find it, can't even explore it, don't live it, love it, and learn it? So I would say we need to get committed back to our ritual.
I think it's finding that balance between the college experience and the Sigma Chi experience. And they don't have to be two different things, but a lot of people can't find the balance between the two, of going out having fun but showing the self-control and being responsible.
Isaac, what if they don't come?
At the least, we will be stuck for dinner.
Frank asks a good question. Suppose they've had a meeting where we have not been invited and they decide to expel us.
My God, they will not expel me. I will resign before they do.
There may not be time for that.
This can't be the spirit of Delta Kappa Epsilon. A year ago, they encouraged us to cultivate the freedom of individuality.
No doubt they meant it. But political aspiration seems to have gotten in the way.
We are letting our imagination run wild. They wouldn't be so rude to ignore our invitation to talk. However arbitrary Whitelaw Reed may be, he is still a gentleman.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry to be so late.
Oh, it's all right, Whit, so long as you've come.
This is Brother Milliken, an alumnus of our chapter from Hamilton, Ohio.
Glad to meet you, boys.
Supper will be served in the next room.
We won't be staying.
Where are the other members of our chapter? Aren't they coming?
No, they're not. It's just Mr. Milliken and myself.
This thing that's grown between us, Wit, it's bigger than you know and far more important than it sounds. Because if you can tell us how we should vote, where does it end?
Wit, can't we sit and discuss this?
There's nothing to discuss. Insubordination is not debatable.
Insubordination?
That's what we call it.
Wit, I think you better let me handle this. I am a man of few words, and I've got no time to waste. The 6 of you are impudent, disloyal, and rebellious.
I cannot believe what I'm hearing.
And if my words carry any weight with the Kappa chapter of the Delta Kappa Epsilon fraternity, I recommend that Cooper and Bell be reprimanded severely and placed on probation. But for you 4 rabble-rousers, Runkle, Scobie, Jordan, Caldwell, I recommend immediate expulsion from the fraternity.
So you had it fixed before you even arrived?
I'm afraid so.
Reed, I will not give you the satisfaction. I did not join this fraternity to be anybody's tool. There's my answer. I can't speak for the others. I am no longer a Deke.
Nor I.
You've really left us no choice, Wit.
Founder Jordan, best known, of course, for the Jordan Standard, and he gave us a minimum standard. And that's what's so fantastic about the Jordan Standard is that everybody who wears our badge has met that standard.
Well, I think Scobie was really the one who said it best when he said, nothing so much tends to promote friendship as the free mutual interchange of one's thoughts, hopes, and fears with one in whom we can confide. I think that's really indicative of the way that he was with the rest of the founders.
They saw in him an intellect and really a very early showing of the spirit of Sigma Chi to welcome someone who's a little different from the rest of you into the group.
I think today when we look at following a set course of action that we know is the right thing deep in our hearts, it's important that we keep doing that, because without the drive to go forward and accomplish our missions, our ideals, our goals, whatever they are, we get complacent and we get lazy. And I think that watching a guy like James Parks Caldwell as such a young man to accomplish so many things the way that he did in life, and with the talent and the intellect and remarkable character that he had and the way that he went about doing it, all that is so vital to the lessons that we have today.
And he said, you know what, we are gentlemen. Sigma Chi's are gentlemen, and the world expects us to be gentlemen. The world needs gentlemen. The world needs men of such manner, I believe is what he said. And he laid forth those characteristics that we must identify to perpetuate our order.
I want to get back to what our founders taught us. I want to get back to what they really brought us together for.
The fact that we've been around since 1855. We revere our 7 founders, but there have been so many brothers since those 7 founders who have also made Sigma Chi what it is.
Push yourselves to live your values every day, and also lead with integrity. Know that if it's right in your heart, that it's the right thing to do.
I think it's really important to show some courage and be brave and have that high ambition of leaving your chapter better than what you found it.
Sigma Chi is so much bigger than just yourself or your undergraduate brothers or your own chapter. It really is 250,000 living men who are holding you to an expectation that you're going to uphold the values and the integrity and the vision of the chapter.
Be true to yourself, be true to your ideals, be true to your friends, but most of all, don't let fear stop you from accomplishing what we all know you can accomplish.
As much as I have done within Sigma Chi, and I guess for Sigma Chi has done much more than that for me.
Well, I think, Chuck, we often say is that every time that our cup gets half empty in Sigma Chi, the next day somebody fills it back up.
Overflowing.
Right.
Think of the 200,000 living Sigma Chi's. Think of the tens of thousands of undergraduates. And if 7 men can do that, think of what we can all do and should do.
And when you know that you have those strong arms around you, that's when you build unity. That's when you become a brother's keeper.
I would ask my undergraduate brothers a question. It would be this. What is your legacy going to be?
We need to be understanding that the seas and the sand are shifting, and we better be ready to take on that next challenge.
Are you going to take what you learned here and you're going to pass it on? You're going to help make other brothers better. You're going to make your chapter stronger than it's ever been. So when you graduate, you can look back and say, I left it all on the floor. I gave it all I had. I've made a difference in the lives of others, and I've allowed others to make a difference in my life. And that's the beginning of that long Sigma Chi legacy.
And so, is it resolved? Aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Aye.
And I'll let those play to respect all the people that were part of the production. Very interesting watch. Great reenactment. I basically read that to you, and that was a video version of it, and I imagine it was done from within their own. So, great production. What's up, Kat? How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Doing great. Just kind of like learning about this, the whole, hierarchy and the standards, integrity.
Yes, my great uncle was a Sigma Chi in Oregon, Eugene, Oregon.
Oh, really?
I live in Texas, and so I was in Zeta Tau Alpha, and but I was asked to be a little sister. They asked different, girls from different sororities or anybody, but I was so busy. The sorority took up a lot of my time. We had to go and interview with every single one of the members when we were a pledge, and we had a pillowcase, and we had to call them and make an appointment and time to sit down with them, and then they would sign our pillowcase, and that was okay. I guess that's a way for them to get to know us, but it was just yeah.
So you were filled up with a lot of the political type stuff.
Right. We had to memorize our founders, the history, our creed, and all of that, and they would quiz us on it. And not only did I have to go to my classes, but I had to learn all of this about Zeta.
Right. And what's that bat sheet? And I think it's designed that way, to really take up a lot of the time. So really, you have to really make a decision on, being a true member compared to somebody that just wants to hang around.
Right. It's time consuming, and it can be kind of stressful too. The initiation was pretty wild. I mean,
can you talk about yours?
No, we're sworn not to talk about it, but it was pretty traumatic in my opinion. But
Traumatic
Of course, I was
mentally or
well,
in other ways, I'll just say.
yeah. I mean, it was. I had never been. When I was 19, I think. Yeah, I was 19 when I was a pledge when I went through initiation. But it's just they came and got us, and I guess I could say I don't know. It's just then they took us and they took us to this place. We couldn't see where we were going,
Oh wow.
and we had to wait
Wow.
until they would take two at a time. And there was this bell. I found out it was in an old church, but there was this bell going off, and they would take two at a time. And I was like in the last group, so I had to wait there, in total darkness.
How many
I
was
couldn't
in a
see.
group? If they took two
Our
out of 10.
pledge class, I would say maybe about between 20 to 30 in our pledge class.
Oh wow. So it's something that would be a few hour thing.
Right, because they would
Wow.
only take two at a time, right?
Hmm.
So that was, I don't know, that was kind of, and I had to, if you had to go to the restroom, they had to escort, because you couldn't see anything, so I had to.
You were blindfolded the whole time
Yes,
for that multiple hour period, huh?
Yes.
Oh wow. Wow. Wow.
Right. Yeah, that was kind of traumatic to me.
Well, yeah.
I don't know.
It's
Because
almost
I
like
never.
play kidnapping.
Right, it's like a fake, right? Because they're your friends, but it's almost it's
Mhm.
like a fake type thing.
Right.
But, and I lived in the house, in the wing one semester after I pledged, and but it was nice, but I don't have anything to do with any of those women, after that, after I got out of college,
Yeah.
and then
How long were you in school for?
I didn't finish there. I transferred and finished at UT Tyler, but so I was only in Zeta. Let's see, three semesters.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So enough of an experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that why you transferred, or was it for other reasons? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was part of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I had it to do all over again, I would have never pledged.
Did you
I don't
pledge for another when you transferred? Was there any?
No, I didn't. I just didn't. No, I didn't. When I went through Rush Week, that's when you go through and you meet all the different sororities, and I got two bids back from. Well, I got invited back. Chi Omega invited me to their pajama party, and then Zeta, and then Kappa. I don't remember the other one, and I got two bids. Kappa or something, and I can't even remember the name, and then Zeta, and so I chose Zeta. But that night, they said they would probably come. They came and got us, but this was kind of fun. We were in our pajamas, nothing, just, some pajamas that covered you up, and they came and got us like around 11 or 12 and took us to eat. But that was kind of fun. That wasn't, too bad.
Why did you choose?
Well, actually, there was a girl in that sorority who was from my hometown, so that probably helped me. Yeah, we didn't hang out that much in high school, but I knew her, and so. So
that was kind of what just affiliation.
Yeah, that kind of helped.
You knew, kind of thing.
And they were really nice, and then they would call them exchanges with the fraternities. Like it was usually on a Thursday night. It would be like with Sigma Chi or Sigma Tau Gamma or Delta Tau Delta, I think. I can't even remember. Or Pi Kappa Alpha. And we would, Thursday night would be a theme. Like one time it might be blue collar workers and people dressed up, you dressed up in like outfits like that or whatever the theme was. It might be a Hawaiian theme. And then we went there but usually everybody was drinking and getting drunk, and then they might have food. And then we got a little paddle, and I was at a Sigma Chi party, I was friends with them, and they were paddling their pledges, but they were really, really intoxicated, and they were really paddling them, and they weren't feeling it. They were like, I can't feel that.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard. I used to go to some of those parties as a.
Yeah, and the parties were fun. They were fun.
Oh yeah, they're a lot of fun. That's why it's amazing how you guys can get everything done that you can get done when it comes to the fraternity and to school.
So that was another right. That was another part. My grades kind of suffered, so that was another reason I transferred too. But it was kind of, my grades, and I changed my majors. So, but yeah, it was hard. I didn't want to get up early, in the mornings to go to class. It was hard to do all that.
Yeah, because you're recouping from the
right.
night
You're
before.
out late, and you're exactly, and then they want you to do all this and that. And
right.
We had a flag football team. We had this Greek week, which was a competition, and so I played on the flag football team, and then we had a talent show, and I danced in that. We did Cats, for the Broadway, and my sorority did win, but that was we had a lot of practice on that and doing that. That was a lot of work too.
And the financial part of it too.
Yes, paying the dues every month. That was
barely having money as a student itself.
Right,
then,
exactly.
Yeah. It's like, what time don't you have? Really.
Right. It was. Yeah. It's
So
can be kind of stressful.
Oh, for sure. It's a lot on one plate.
It is. It really is.
It is. So what did you think about what we read and what we watched this evening?
Yeah, that's similar to what we had to learn, about our founders of Zeta. We had a secret handshake, a secret knock, and all that. And when we would go in front of we had these ritual gowns that we would wear. They call it the white ones, and we would do the candlelight ceremonies. And when we go in front of the president of, my chapter, and we would have to go in and and say these certain words and most worthy, blah, blah, blah. And then it's almost kind of like bowing down. I mean, it's kind of strange.
It is. It's almost cultish in a way.
Right. I mean, that was kind of strange. I wasn't used to that, but I wasn't an officer. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I wasn't an officer. So, but just.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of different hierarchies for a lot of
they
different
do. Yes,
things.
it really is. And our mission, Zeta Tau Alpha, is with the Susan B. Komen, the Breast Cancer Foundation. We do a lot of the runs and the different, raising money for that, which that's a great cause. But,
right, rock on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like even with this Idaho case and stuff, we talk about we even saw like how it's almost political in a way. Really, it's like a renegade type thing. If you kind of break it down to simpler words. And they also have their own type of legal system as well within the fraternity as well. They want to keep this stuff in-house as much as possible. And so they do have their own, trials and decisions and things like that. So all of this stuff does exist. It always has. It always has.
Right. Yeah. They have, you have your own they have lawyers, and everything. Each chapter has their own lawyers and advisors and all of that.
It's its own, it's like its own atmosphere.
Like a business or organization. Right. Yeah.
Like if the college is a planet, it's its own country.
Yes. Right.
Really, you could look at it in so many different ways. It's crazy. I appreciate you hopping up. I just wanted to hear what you thought. And is there anything else you want to share? And I appreciate you being comfortable hopping up too.
Well, I love your show, and
Oh, thank you.
so I just wanted to tell you about my experience with
Yeah.
what I know. So, all
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you for having me, and
No, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate your comfort hopping up, Kat, and always having kind words in chat too. And thank you for checking out the show. Thank you for the membership, whether purchased or gifted. And thank you for your company as well. I really appreciate it. All right. So, in the first episode of Sigma Chi Fraternity, and if you haven't checked it out, definitely go check it out. It's the introduction. We went into the background, we went into how they were formed, why they were created. We went through the timelines. We also went through, there's a lot of really, if Wikipedia, Sigma Chi Fraternity has a lot of information. I mean, and they have even incidents reported. I mean, a whole bunch of stuff. But definitely a good read. We went through a little bit of that, kind of showed some videos, different things. Basically, an introduction into Sigma Chi. So tonight, we are going to be kind of continuing on that path. There's and these are pretty old videos too. It talks about the builders, again, part of the introduction. Talks about the builders of Sigma Chi, the Sigma Chi members that have some significance. Just different videos from like a decade or two ago about just different parts of Sigma Chi history, impact statements, just more of an introduction. So a lot of this stuff that I'm going to be playing is actually from Sigma Chi itself. It's from the stuff, so it's very interesting. Doesn't it seem like you're watching like Bugs Bunny from a long time ago? Now you'll see why I said it's like watching a Bugs Bunny cartoon. It's been so long since it's done that. That's crazy. And we need a night where, you know what, when like we go watch TV shows and stuff at the lounge and movies and stuff, we need to have a night where we watch like fucking cartoons. I love cartoons.
In 1895, when I left Purdue to go to the University of Montana, there were only 4 Sigma Chi's in the state. The province with California, Oregon, Idaho, Washington, Wyoming, and Montana at the time when I became praetor. Now there are nearly 500 Sigma Chi's and 2 splendid active chapters in the state, namely at Montana State University and at Montana State College, and 5 enthusiastic alumni chapters. When Beta Delta was established at the University of Montana in 1906, the nearest chapter to the east was the University of Minnesota, about 1,200 miles away, and to the west, the University of Washington, about 700 miles away. The donor of the Montana campus was a Sigma Chi. The first president and 3 professors were Sigma Chi's. There is probably no state in the Union where Sigma Chi's influence is so strongly felt and expressed.
If the Sigma Chi songs that I have written have added anything to the pleasure of our social gatherings, I am gratified beyond measure. We may not live forever on this jolly good old sphere, but while we do, we'll live a life of merriment and cheer. And when our little day is done and night is drawing nigh, with part breath, we'll sing the praise of good old Sigma Chi.
And that sounded like a lullaby. That sounded like a damn lullaby. The year 1882 marked the abandonment of parent chapter control and the adoption of our present centralized form of government. We are honored to present John S. McMillan DePaul, 76, of Roche Harbor, Washington, who wrote our first Constitution and who became the first Grand Council of the fraternity. The father of Sigma Chi in the West made this recording in both his and the fraternity's 75th year, 1930. Okay, self-proclaimed. Seriously, if this is the first episode, you'll definitely want to check out the episode that we did first. If this is your first episode, we went into the background of it. It's going to be a multi-episode series, probably 3 or 4, 3 for sure, maybe 4, and you'll definitely want to watch these in order for sure. But if you watch this one and then you go out, then everything will really make sense. Bonjour.
The best is now. The next will come upon my own birthday, just 4 months
What's
hence.
up, everybody?
On November 21st, 1871, I was baptized and christened.
This is all, they're all discussing late 1800s.
71, I was baptized and christened a Sigma Chi. Thus,
1871? What frickin' year is this footage then? It doesn't say. Dude, 18, so you gotta be 70, 75, right? So the 40s, the 30s? Okay. Yeah, it does give that 30s to 40s vibe.
71, I was baptized and christened a Sigma Chi.
Baptized and
Thus,
christened.
59 years of our...
It does. It gives that 30s to 40s vibe, you know? Roosevelt and all that.
59 years of our 75 have run concurrently with my own.
Concurrently.
Aside from my own fireside,
Fireside.
happy associations of all the long years have been in and with Sigma Chi. You honored me more than I or you ever dreamed when you elected me your first Grand Council in 1882.
So he was the first grand. Yes, I don't know if this is something that they had to listen to, Katie, but I'm pretty damn sure it probably is. It was probably, I'm probably giving you the same type of information that you'd be getting, when you become a new member. What's up, Katrina? Everybody catting. You're getting, like the stuff that we went into in the first episode was like why it was created, where it was created. It was great. I loved it. We even watched a reenactment of how they were created. It was very interesting. It looked like it was maybe done by their own theatrical department, maybe. But it was definitely very interesting. And the theatrical replay was, to be able to kind of, it's one thing to hear a story or read, but when you have that reenactment of it. It really, it almost puts you there, and it kind of explained the background. And so I'm sure this is a lot of the stuff that they probably had to be introduced to, you know, because you got to know the history, you got to know the forefathers, you got to know the years and where they, you know, you have to know all this stuff, you know. So I don't know, but I'm probably pretty sure. And that's kind of why I'm doing it. It's like unveiling, but exploring, trying to like give you an idea, give you the history, give you kind of like you're in a class where it's like, this is what it is, this is where it's coming from, just a history of it, because I'm sure they probably had quizzes on this shit, you know. And I can imagine, you know, and if you're the one that got 100% right, you probably walked around with your head held high all around that house, you know. You got, damn, Billy, you got every one of them right. You're serious about Sigma Chi, brother, right?
Before my term was quite complete, the passion to become a part of the New West had fired my youthful imagination, and my footsteps led me to Puget Sound.
So he was the father of the West for the Sigma Chi.
The term was quite complete. The passion to become a part of the New West.
Those two, no chains.
Had fired my youthful imagination, and my footsteps led me to Puget Sound. In all that great empire of the West, but few there were who had ever beheld our luminous white cross. But Sigma Chi has grown up around me there. My fraternal families are many. My Sigma Chi sons are legion. And today, in all that great West, we have more chapters, both active and alumni, and a greater membership of honored and loyal sons than we had in all the world in 1882. Best of all, we've never lost a chapter in all that tremendous territory. And while we're communing together today around the shrine of our dear old mother, Alpha, I bring you glad tidings of great joy from my golden West, where the fires upon every altar of Sigma Chi are brilliantly burning, and where every afterglow is radiant with our blue and gold.
Woo, those words, man. Whoa.
Honor and to bless the names of those 7 founders of Sigma Chi who erected, who christened, and who consecrated the shrine we here and now revere. May God bless all who have gathered here to honor it, and all those who could not come. Sigma Chi has always stood and must always stand for a high, clean character, for the best there is in cordial, helpful, fraternal friendship. Otherwise, she never can fulfill the mission her founders conceived for her, and for which their successors devoted their love, their labor, and their lives. Let us look upward to the luminous white cross which caught their vision as it caught the vision of Constantine long before their day. And let each of us continue to enjoy the beautiful flowers which are constantly blooming for every one of us in the marvelous gardens of Sigma Chi.
The marvelous gardens of Sigma Chi. Like I was saying in the first episode, you have to understand, right? Devoted their lives. Yes. This shit's serious. That's why I'm saying this background, the reason they were created, what the story is, this is all like, I'm pretty sure they had to sit down through this and watch these same exact videos, everybody. These same exact videos. And there's more. You have to, right now, You have to understand, you were almost sitting in a Sigma Chi class this afternoon. Because just wait, here's the next one. Now, this is Sigma Chi's of significance. Oh, builders, I'm sorry. And then this is Sigma Chi of significance, part 1. Come on, Looney Tunes. You know what I'm saying? It's what they do. Take Looney Tunes and put this over and keep the music. I mean, this is crazy. I love Looney Tunes though. I love it. I love the music. Yeah. Oh, light up a cigarette right on TV. There you go. Poof! Look at all that smoke.
I'm not much on testimonials. In fact, I don't believe in them. But this is something a little different.
You know, isn't that crazy? How they before they even they could have just started the edit after he lit the cigarette because he wasn't even saying nothing. Why did they have to add the cigarette? Poof! Smoke everywhere. Wait 2 seconds and then he starts talking. What was the part of introducing the cigarette? Poof. Clip. Bam. Right there.
Testimonials. In fact, I don't believe in them. But this is something a little different. A couple of times I've been approached to endorse this tobacco or that pipe or something of the sort. I never have because I didn't use this stuff. But this is a little different proposition. This
You
matter
didn't
of
use
Sigma Chi, because I have used the stuff.
Okay. You didn't you didn't care to do any kind of testimonials because you didn't use tobacco or a pipe? Well, it's obvious you're not using a pipe, but isn't that tobacco?
Sigma Chi, because I have used the stuff.
But you have used Sigma Chi.
I've been
Okay.
very pleased with it too. My mother has a book in a trunk at home, which is a collection of the early drawings of John T. McCutcheon. That was my first inspiration as an artist, wanting to draw pictures at all. And when I got old enough to know what fraternities were all about and found that John T. McCutcheon, Tane Fox, and a couple of other fellows were members of Sigma Chi, I was more than anxious to belong to the fraternity. By good fortune.
Probably.
And now, as I grow older, work at this stuff as a practical journeyman artist, so to speak, I appreciate even more what Sigma Chi and these great fellows have meant to me. One thing is certain, I don't suppose it'll ever be possible to feel that you occupy a place in the hearts and the esteem of the fraternity and in the world at large that these men do. One just keeps on trying and doing the best he can. As far as Sigma Chi is concerned, matter of inspiration and all that sort of thing, it's been great indeed. Friendships that have lasted long after college and all that sort of thing. And all of them largely due to Sigma Chi and its influence and the atmosphere of the thing, the feeling of it. Above all things, I'm very grateful to belong to the organization. Very proud of the badge. Had an opportunity to use it in the drawing of Terry and the Pirates. Not only the boys at Ohio State, but the boys at some of the other chapters too. We're glad that it happened to fall on exactly the right day for pledging. Lying around on the fraternity houses on the campus, spread all over the living room floors, was a Sigma Chi badge, and it didn't do the other lads much good. I'm grateful for many things. Grateful for the badge. Grateful for all those friendships. It's very good to be a Sigma Chi.
That didn't look too convincing to me when he ended that. What's up, Under Review? That didn't look too convincing to me. What the heck? This is odd. F. Dooley Vernor, Albion 14, composer of this band. The Sweetheart of Sigma Chi. The most beautiful and enduring of all college songs had its origin at Albion College in Michigan in the fall of 1911. Brian Stokes, then entering his junior year, took the initiative in the matter when he wrote some lyrics about the fairest of the fair and turned them over to his sophomore chapter mate Dud Venor with suggestion that he set them to music. So they basically created the song for the chapter. They also did the Fellowship Song of Sigma Chi. And has made the composer who has made Sigma Chi the best known college fraternity. So I guess this person's claiming that their song made Sigma Chi the best college fraternity because he sold over 200,000 sheet music. Everybody's claiming something. You got the father of the West of Sigma Chi. You got the cartoonist that never endorses and would never endorse tobacco because he never uses it, but he just puffed on a cigarette the whole time. And then a composer that takes credit for helping Sigma Chi become the best college fraternity. Wow. There's a lot of people throwing stakes in the ground. Is that fake or what?
I composed The Sweetheart of Sigma Chi in the fall of 1911. And that was a little more than a quarter of a century ago. Naturally, I had no idea the song would mean so much to the fraternity. If I have contributed to the prestige of Sigma Chi,
Yeah, late 1800s. The late 1800s. This part sounds familiar for some reason. yes, too, are you sitting in the classroom watching this like every one of them probably was watching. These are our forefathers. His golden voice, now heard by more than 20 million radio listeners.
The girl of my dreams, she's the sweetest girl of all the girls I know. Each sweet poet like a rainbow trail fades in the afterglow. Oh, the blue of her eyes and the gold of her hair, they're a blend of the western sky and the moonlight beams on the girl of my dreams. She's the sweetheart of Sigma Chi. Oh, the girl of my dreams, she's the sweetest girl of all the girls I know. Each sweet poet like a rainbow trail shades in the afterglow. Oh, the blue of her eye and the gold of her hair, in a blend of the western sky, and the moonlight beams on the girl of my dreams. She's the sweetheart of Sigma
Yeah, very interesting, right? Very interesting. This is, again, more of an introduction. Okay, so this is a little clip, just like a little teeny couple-minute clip. It's called Sigma Chi Horizons, The Experience. After you see this couple-minute clip, then there's going to be called... So when we went into the introduction of Sigma Chi in the first episode, it talked about Constantine and the Centennial and all of these different terms and ranks and positions and all these other things. So one of them was talking about the Centennial, the story of the Centennial. And after this little clip of Sigma Chi, the Experience, I wanted to throw in, then we're going to see a couple parts of the Centennial story, and it's going to give you a little background of the Centennial story. So a small clip of this, and then we'll be getting into that part of the introduction to Sigma Chi, unveiling and exploring. Thank you so much for hanging out. And if you're on replay, thank you so much for hanging out on this episode and checking it out as well. When I'm kind of setting this up because these topics, these things that we're going to be talking about, the members that are able to watch this are going to kind of have a heads up and a head start on all of the stuff that we are going to be talking about in about 2 weeks to 3 weeks, probably around 2 weeks from now. We're going to be starting to talk about a lot of this stuff in the regular show. So you guys will already have a background understanding of the Sigma Chi, the standards, the requirements, what's expected, the traditions, all of those things. And so thank you for becoming a member of this channel. I really appreciate your support, and it's special to me. Thank you. I better mute that just so I don't get in trouble. It's when we kind of talked about it in the first episode, it's almost like it's its own political system is what it is. There's basically a lot of alum talking about their experiences, a lot of PR. A lot of PR. This is the first time in my life when I told myself I was going all out and regret nothing. The knowledge gained about myself is invaluable. It's all promotions. You're not going to be like, yeah, buy my toaster because it'll electrocute you. You're not telling people, buy my toaster because it's going to electrocute you. You're telling people, buy my toaster. It's slick, it's smooth, and it toasts them pieces of bread just right. Oh, it goes way beyond education. This is, I think the education is just a very small part of it. That's why you're there. So you have to do it. But I bet this is its own baby, its own bubble, its own atmosphere, its own system. Definitely check out episode 1 of this if you haven't yet. Are you ready to exercise your core values, challenge yourself, become a better brother, citizen, man? Apply now. But obviously that's, from 2012. But it's a little video I wanted to show you guys, just part of a little bit of promotion. All right, so here is the Centennial story, part 1.
1855.
Whoops, hold on, sorry, I had it on mute still.
It all began in 1855, 100 years ago. Behind these 2 lighted windows over a drugstore in Oxford, Ohio, 7 young men met on the night of June 27, 1855. The next day, June 28th, the announcement was made. It was the proud but humble beginning of Sigma Chi. Sigma Chi has met every challenge of the passing years, so that today we stand strong with 127 active chapters in colleges and universities throughout the United States and Canada, and 156 alumni chapters and alumni associations, and an international memorial headquarters second to none on the shores of Lake Michigan at Evanston, Illinois. After 100 years, it was a time to celebrate at the Grand Chapter, Sigma Chi's International Convention at Cincinnati, Ohio. The planning sessions began many months in advance. Committees met, assignments were made. Over in Cincinnati, Brother George E. Mayer, General Chairman of the host committee, worked feverishly with his staff on all arrangements. And then the mail began to go out to active chapters, alumni chapters, to Sigma Chi's everywhere. Late in June 1955, the mass migration began. Sigma Chi's, their wives and sweethearts, their children came from every section of both Canada and the United States. They came from Oregon, from Honolulu, from Texas and Oklahoma, from Florida and Alabama, from Montreal and British Columbia, from North Dakota and Washington, D.C. They came in droves, old SIGs, young SIGs, undergraduates, alumni, all wearers of the White Cross. A special tabloid-sized newspaper was printed in honor of the event. Cincinnati's daily newspapers welcomed the travelers in banner headlines. Radio and television newscasters heralded the coming of the Sigma Chi Grand Chapter as a brilliant star in Cincinnati's convention crown. And on Sunday, June 26th, the mass registration began at the Grand Chapter headquarters. The famed Sheraton Gibson Hotel. The old fires of lifelong friendships were rekindled. The hotel halls rang with the boisterous, the exuberant greetings of brothers brought together once again to glory in the past and plan for the next 100 years. On Monday morning, Grand Consul Stanley Barnes sounded his gavel, and the Centennial Grand Chapter officially opened. Grand Tribune Admiral Robert D. Workman extended the reverent invocation. And then came the warm greeting of Mr. Carl Rich, His Honor, the Mayor of the Queen City. For the next 4 days, the city was ours, the gift of Mayor Rich. And thus began the meetings that would carry on the heritage handed down to us by the great Sigma Chi leaders of our golden past. The John S. McMillans, the Joe Nates, the George Ades, the Pop Hennings, the Ben Fishers, and on and on. In a very special sense, they were there too. 3 years having elapsed since the last Grand Chapter, there was much business to transact. Committees charged with definite responsibilities gathered.
When you dig into what we dug into on the first episode with all the ranks and positions, they take this shit serious as hell. And there's a lot of them. So there's a lot of people that have their hands in these pots. And it's all throughout the country.
Together to lay the groundwork for future fraternity policy. The Sigma Chi Foundation has its very important meeting. The foundation administers a fund in excess of $500,000, a fund devoted to scholarships, student aid, and the establishment of a placement and vocational guidance program.
Thank you guys for being here.
The Sigmas meet, made up of the wives of Sigma Chi's. Founded in 1919 and now 42 chapters strong, the Sigmas are unique. No other organization like it in the Greek letter world. Still more meetings. The Committee on Alumni Chapters, on scholarship, on life memberships, on statutory and constitutional revision, on changing conditions and chapter problems. But a Grand Chapter isn't all business. Here were 3 breathtaking young ladies, candidates for the title of International Sweetheart of Sigma Chi. And
Nina.
Grand Chapter Stag Party. The cheers were lusty, the beat was solid.
Do me a favor, LA. Let me see how much time I have at the end of this episode. If I don't have time on this one, I'd definitely love to hear what you have to say on the Hangout show. And I can, just let me know. But let me see how much time I have, because I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get to both the draws videos. I probably won't be able to. So let me know if you'd be able to elaborate on the Hangout if I can't get to it tonight.
And even Brother Roger Ferger, publisher of the Cincinnati Enquirer.
And don't think that this is like me saying that Sigma Chi had something to do with the crime. This is not it at all. This is, there is part of a Sigma Chi element when it does come to the Idaho Forest stuff, when it comes to things that they supposedly knew that didn't. All sorts of those things I can give insight. Okay. Would you be calling in or joining a panel, LA?
Took his turn on the drum. As the cheers were lusty, the beat was solid. And even Brother Roger Ferger, publisher of the Cincinnati Enquirer, took his turn on the drum. As that former Grand Chapter stag, the boys got stuck, this time with one of the more tired magicians on the circuit, a man with no talent, but who needs talent with such courage?
Kimberly.
And
There's a
the cheering
t-shirt.
reached its peak as brother Milton Caniff demonstrated his unfailing talent as the foremost adventure strip cartoonist of this or any other generation. As if to prove our red-bloodedness, we forced ourselves to cheer and applaud for the friends that Milt brought along with him.
I like that, Natural. That's funny.
And then, the arrival of the great day of the Grand Chapter, the 18-bus caravan to Oxford, Ohio, about 30 miles north and a little west of Cincinnati, to pay homage to 7 men, the founders of Sigma Chi. On June 28, 1955, 100 years to the day after that first humble beginning, we traveled the time-honored road to Old Miami University, mother of fraternities, where 3 great Greek letter societies saw the first light of day. Old Miami did its part on that great day in saluting Sigma Chi, the fraternity it cradled 100 years ago. And just 2 years later, in 1857, our founders traveled this same road to Cincinnati for the first Grand Chapter. Total attendance, 26. Lunch was served, picnic style, on the campus. More time to renew old friendships, to sit under a tree and wonder how many SIGs before you may have rested here on the same spot, maybe one of the original 7.
Yes, we will have a quiz at the end of this program.
And it was a time to snap pictures of pretty sweethearts. And then the march through Oxford to the very site where Sigma Chi was founded. The Wright-Patterson Air Force Band led the way, and our beloved past Grand Consul Daddy Ricks was Grand Marshal of the parade. With reverence, we stood beneath these 2 flag-draped windows, windows made famous throughout the fraternity world, and heard words of dedication, words of renewed friendship, justice, and learning. And 7 past Grand Consuls paid a lasting tribute to our 7 founders. Past Grand Consul Sam Bullock paid tribute to founder Benjamin Hyatt Runkle, John Neal Campbell to founder Thomas Cowan Bell, Hamilton Douglas to founder William Lewis Lockwood, Daniel Lawrence to founder Isaac M. Jordan, L.G. Balfour to founder Daniel William Cooper, Patrick J. Hurley to founder Franklin Howard Scobie, and William B. Ricks to founder James Parks Caldwell. The tribute ended with a benediction by a famous Sigma Chi clergyman, Bishop Titus Lowe. What were the events that led to this secret meeting behind these windows 100 years ago? 6 men started it all. 6 men in revolt against what was then some unjust leadership in Delta Kappa Epsilon. For the Grand Chapter, Brother Martin Flavin, Pulitzer Prize-winning author and playwright, wrote a special playlist depicting that spine-tingling moment when 2 Deke leaders tried to persuade them to return. They were shown the door, and the Deke plaque was removed from the wall. Another young man joined their cause, and here were the original 7 of Sigma Chi. After the play, Governor Frank Lausche of Ohio extended his very warm greeting to the Grand Chapter. And the Sigma Chi Foundation Scholarship Trophy was presented to Miami University. This great day in Oxford, Ohio, would always be remembered. As we returned to our buses, we could feel only gratitude to this great university that had fostered our beginning. We could pause for a last look at our founders' memorial chapter house, Alpha Chapter, the first chapter in Sigma Chi. Not far from Oxford, we paused for a short memorial service at the grave of founder Franklin Howard Scobie. And then back to Cincinnati. A highlight of every grand chapter is the literary exercises, a time to recognize Sigma Chi achievement, a time also to present the Balfour Award to the fraternity's outstanding undergraduate, an annual award given to the active Sig who measures highest in scholarship, personality, fraternity service, and student activity. This year, B. Kenneth West of the University of Illinois receives the award from Grand Praetor Bob Brookman. It's a time to unveil portraits. These represent Milt Caniff's famed drawing of the Constantine chapter, a portrait of the late Ben S. Fisher, past Grand Consul, and one of our founders in his boyhood. And it was a time to reenact once again that amazing Sigma Chi ceremony that took place near Atlanta during the war between the states, the founding of the Constantine chapter, an event unique in Greek letter history. And any gathering of 4 or more Sigs is a time for banquet, a time for saluting great Sigs, such as Brother F. Dudley Werner, the composer of the most famous of all fraternity songs. And it's a time for tea to salute those sweethearts of Sigma Chi. And around these banquet tables, we saluted Sigma Chi's 28 college presidents, 11 members of Congress, and 5 members of Eisenhower's sub-cabinet. And then, in all its crowning glory, the Sweetheart Dance with its wired greetings from Sigma Chi's Hollywood colony, headed by Brother John Wayne, from Brother Tony Trabert, and other stars of the sports world, from Sigma Chi celebrities everywhere. And then, the great moment when the International Sweetheart of Sigma Chi is named. The first of the 3 final candidates was lovely Allison McElholm of the University of Texas. The second was enchanting Sue Haugen of San Diego State College. The third was fabulous Carolyn Stroop, representing Duke University. All 3 flown into Cincinnati by American Airlines for what may well be the greatest honor of their lives. A half hour of precious radio time was made available by the Mutual Broadcasting System so that listeners everywhere could get a first-hand report. And the winner is announced, Miss Carolyn Stroop, the one we call fabulous, representing Duke University. And finally, the long-awaited Grand Chapter Banquet, the climax of 4 glorious days of Sigma Chi fellowship. A new crop of significant Sigs were named, the Sigma Chi's of great achievement in public life. And a special ovation went to Judge Charles S. Baker, the oldest living Sigma Chi, now in his 100th year, and celebrating a full century along with our fraternity. He's the oldest living member of any fraternity. As outgoing Grand Consul, Judge Stanley M. Barnes had the distinct pleasure to present the newly elected Grand Consul, J. Dwight Peterson, who pledged himself to carry on the administrative tasks of the fraternity to the very best of his ability. For Brother Peterson to become Grand Consul is the just reward of a lifetime of devotion to the White Cross. Perhaps no one in the fraternity can express the meaning of White Cross devotion more eloquently or spiritedly than Brother Clark Keebler, a significant Sig and president of Santa Barbara College of the University of California. His speeches before many of our gatherings have stirred Sigs everywhere to renewed devotion. And on this great night, he created an unforgettable golden moment with his speech entitled, "With Wings as Eagles."
They shall walk and not faint. As we turn into this second century, I hope that you and I and all those who follow us, who are brothers with us in our beloved Sigma Chi, will be able to rise with wings as eagles because they have faith in our cause. Thank you very much.
This one I wanted to play. It's Sigma Chi International Fraternity's Lasting Impact. Just a couple things. Like I said, it's more of the introduction to all of this stuff. Definitely check out episode 1 if you haven't seen episode 1. That really goes into the beginning, how it was created, and it even has a reenactment, theatrical reenactment that really is a good watch. So this is the Lasting Impact.
Dating back to the formation of the first Greek letter organization at the collegiate level in 1776, fraternity life has come to represent many different things during the formative years of a young man's life. Since their inception, fraternities have strived to shape future leaders and spread positive ideals across campuses all over the world. However, the positive image of the modern-day fraternity is sometimes challenged with troubling headlines involving alcohol and drug abuse, sexual assault, and hazing.
I got to tell you that it really saddens me when these type of issues come up. And it more than saddens me, it angers me. So as Grand Council, I have a responsibility to make sure situations don't ever happen. And when they do happen, we're going to hold those brothers responsible and accountable for their actions.
The challenge to the fraternal reputation for the first time. Never before has there been a greater need for younger, more ethical society. The same kind of leadership fraternities were originally conceived to create in the first place.
I think there's a real need for true leadership in the workforce today.
And you have to realize that there's lots of baby boomers who are moving on and retiring. They're being replaced in the workforce by these millennials. And we're trying to work with the millennials to prepare them for the situations that they're going to face.
We need to find ways that we can train young people to be ethical leaders, to be effective leaders, and to lead from their heart.
To help brothers grow into influential leaders, fostering meaningful, healthy relationships with others becomes even more important with the most digitally inclined generation in history.
I think for somebody whose only connection is really on their smartphone, they're not really giving 100% of their attention and they're listening to someone. But a person who really can learn and understand how to have a true social interaction, they really can touch somebody's mind and somebody's heart. Being stuck down in your smartphone, looking at your phone, that's not connecting. That's not impressive. But to be able to look somebody in the eye and be able to tell them what you're thinking, what you're feeling, those things are impressive. And those things are skills that we're starting to lose in our society. But I feel that's something that really gets developed by being involved with a Greek organization.
I think in everyday life, people come and go. But what's unique to the subculture, which is Greek life, fraternity and sorority life, is the fact that we have unique experiences and bonds that bring us together. And that just isn't found anywhere else but in Greek life.
Creating a safe place for young men to experience the gamut of emotions during their college years is a goal many fraternities now share. But in order for fraternities to get back to molding young leaders, they must first transparently confront the negative stereotypes that are often caused by actions of only a few members and chapters. Proving that these stereotypes are not reflective of the values that fraternities represent becomes paramount.
Really, the only way the fraternities are going to be able to maintain a positive image with the community is to make sure they stay transparent and active in the community. Otherwise, these isolated incidents will continue to typify fraternity culture.
In 1855, Sigma Chi began a journey to promote principally driven lifestyles that continues to this day. Before joining the fraternity, potential brothers spend 8 weeks meeting others in the chapter, learning about culture and setting goals, well before their official admission. Friendship, justice, and learning are the cornerstones of the Sigma Chi experience, leading the charge for other fraternities in terms of accountability and integrity.
I am a Sigma Chi, which means I am a leader. Now, why am I a leader? Because I believe in myself. But that has not always been the case. It was my experience in Sigma Chi that helped me become the person I am. We feel that we can maximize our potential as human beings by associating ourselves with individuals of different temperaments, talents, and convictions.
Sigma Chi offers lots of programs for students to come and really grow as men, but the most important thing is instilling values-based leadership.
We offer a number of different programs. So we have some workshops that we go out and offer to the chapters on site with facilitators, alumni facilitators who've been trained to do those programs. For instance, there's one on responsibility and accountability. There's another on strengthening brotherhood.
I think that the Horizons Leadership Summit was definitely the most impactful experience I've had probably in my life, and definitely has been my favorite Sigma Chi experience. They flew us out to beautiful Snowbird, Utah. We went up into the mountains and really figured out what values meant the most to us, how those overlapped with the values of the Sigma Chi fraternity, and then how we were going to put those into action when we got back to our state.
Sigma Chi is also demonstrating ethical leadership through a $10 million fundraising pledge to the Huntsman Cancer Institute to fuel cancer research. Sigma Chi's members are committed to being the generation to end cancer.
With the Huntsman Cancer Institute in Utah, guys who have at least 2 years left in the chapter go through an all-expenses-paid intensive leadership development program for a week. And for many of the guys, that's a very personal experience because they have experienced cancer up close and personally. I have myself. I'm a cancer survivor. I lost my wife to cancer.
Aww.
And seeing the difference that we're helping to make in being the generation, these guys, to end cancer, I think that kind of thing says it all about what we're all about.
As a supplement to the array of programs Sigma Chi offers to increase responsible conduct and service to others, the Balfour Leadership Training Workshop is held over 3 days every summer. 2,000 Sigma Chi brothers come together every year to participate in the largest Greek collegiate leadership gathering in the world.
Certainly, we teach them the nuts and bolts of their various jobs, being the president or vice president or treasurer of their chapter. But more importantly, we want them to take lifelong leadership skills away from their time here in the workshop.
It's a very comprehensive program. Frankly, probably the most extensive program in the fraternity world. Sigma Chi has probably the greatest involvement of alumni among all the fraternities, and we're very proud of that fact.
The college experience is an unforgettable rite of passage for any student, but Sigma Chi is dedicated to making that time in a young man's life even more poignant. By answering the call their founders posed so many years ago, Sigma Chi brothers realized that their fraternity may have changed over the years, but the ideals of the White Cross continue to endure in an age when society has needed them the most.
When you're a Sigma Chi, you always say, I am a Sigma Chi. We are lifelong brothers.
I know that I'm going to be best friends with the Sigs in my chapter for the rest of my life because of the values that we share.
We are looking for remarkable men who have ethical values, who are going to be determined to change the world in positive direction.
To learn more about Sigma Chi or how to become a brother, visit www.sigmachi.org.
www.sigmachi.org. Another video as such, proud to be
passionate about building the leaders of tomorrow through transformational leadership development, philanthropic traditions, and community involvement. Recognizing and developing these skills early in life builds values-based leaders who then go on to make an impact for their families, in their communities, and on the world.
When you're associated with the Sigma Chi fraternity, it gives you direction, it gives you a purpose, and it gives you a vision for a young man that is just exploring the future.
This is the true power of Sigma Chi. Generations of men who strive for the ideals of the White Cross, passing these values on to others and living our values every day. This is why we are proud to be.
I am Chris Hicks, and I am proud to be a Sigma Chi.
I'm Mitchell Haber, and I'm proud to be a Sigma Chi.
Tommy Gettings. I'm the 70th Grand Consul, and I'm very proud to be a Sigma Chi.
Whenever I hear the word Sigma Chi, to me, I can't help but to think family, because that's what it means to all of us.
Hi, I'm Ruben Gallego. I'm the Congressman for District 7 of Arizona. I'm proud to be a Sigma Chi. For me, it was
great to meet these group of guys that were open, that came from all walks of life, that were middle class, and really showed me what true friendship is.
Sigma Chi and my experience at Western and in university really further inspired me to live a life of service. And I'm now a public servant, a generational politician, committing myself to improving those in my life, in my community, and serving my country. And I think that is a great testament to the value-based leadership that Sigma Chi has ingrained in generations of others.
I'm Ryan Pace, General Manager of the Chicago Bears. Proud to be a Sigma Chi. It was unique in New Orleans, me being able to work so close with Drew Brees and Sean Payton, and we'd have these conversations and we talked about these things, and it just makes it special, and it makes me very proud to be associated with Sigma Chi.
I'm Allie Hagemeyer. I'm the 35th International Sweetheart, and I'm proud to be a Sigma Chi Sweetheart. I'm constantly amazed about how we're continuing to evolve and really transform into the best version of ourselves, while also sticking to the traditions that we've always held true.
My name is Cody Keenan. I'm Senior Advisor and Chief Speechwriter to President Barack Obama, and I'm proud to be a Sigma Chi. The guys you choose to surround yourselves with, the values you decide to pursue, really can make you the best version of yourself, and that's what it's all about.
Hi there, I'm Roger Williams. Sigma Chi is not something you do for 4 years. Sigma Chi is a lifetime. I'm proud to be a congressman. I'm proud to be an American, but I'm also very, very proud to be a Sigma Chi.
My name is Hy Garth. Mark Espinosa.
John Koskinen. Justin Ballhampton. Craig Wolf.
Asher Califf.
Mac McClarty.
Stephen Palazzo.
James Grimaldi.
I'm the consul of the Theta Chapter, Assistant Director for the Global Police Services Division at Interpol.
Dr. Andy Anderson, General Counsel of USAID.
Congressman for Mississippi's 4th Congressional District.
Chairman McClarty Associate.
Pulitzer Prize winner. I work for the Wall Street Journal.
I'm proud, very proud to be.
Damn proud.
Proud to be a Sigma Chi.
Proud and grateful. Proud to be a Sigma Chi. Proud to be a Sigma Chi.
Sigma Chi.
Sigma Chi.
And I'm proud to be a Sigma Chi.
If you expect more of yourself, if you want to grow as a values-based leader, if you're looking to make a positive impact on the world, you will find it here. Founded in 1855 and born out of an injustice, Sigma Chi's founders endeavored to create a fraternity based on the principles of friendship, justice, and learning. Over the years, the principles, ideals, and standards that Sigma Chi stands for have developed generations of young men into values-based leaders. This is the true power of Sigma Chi. Generations of men who strive for the ideals of the White Cross, passing these values on to others and living our values every day.
It's all about that White Cross.
Sigma Chi is one of the largest college fraternities, with more than 235 undergraduate chapters and over 250,000 living members. Our brotherhood is enriched by being men of different temperaments, talents, and convictions. Preferring character over conformity, these bonds create memorable college experiences and relationships that stand the test of time. Sigma Chi measures candidates against the Jordan standard, which requires a person to be a man of good character,
students of fair ability,
with ambitious purposes,
with congenial disposition,
possessed of good morals,
having a high sense of honor,
and a deep sense of personal responsibility. Together, working towards a common goal, we are changing the world. This is why we are proud to be
Sigma Chi.
Expect more, and it's all about that White Cross, you know? Okay, I gotta be careful with that. It's probably just music here. And this is the Sigma Chi Rush video 2023. So here's the, oh, you already have the link in chat, my bad. Very interesting. You'll see Hunter. Oh, wow. Pretty interesting Sigma Chi house tour. So that is episode 2. Now we'll be going into more stuff on episode 3 in a couple weeks, where we're going to be going more into the stuff that is discussing Idaho 4. More of the Idaho 4, the Sigma Chi connections with the Idaho 4, and more about that discussion. So here's the tour. Yes, thank you. I appreciate you guys hanging out. We'll be hanging out here in a little less than probably about 45 minutes. I love the little videos, man. That's cool shit. So this is the house tour, the Sigma Chi house. So you look at all that history. It's all about the history. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Steve. Thank you, sir. Yeah, there's a lot of famous people on that wall, Kimberly. Here's the link if you want to have this video for your playlist, if you want to check it out. Here's the link for the house. It does have sound, but I'm not playing the sound just because I want to make sure I can hear the phone ring. And if you want to listen to it without mute, go ahead and check out the video. I'm surprised they're giving you a house tour. I know. Yes. That whole time I thought that dude was holding like a cupcake or something. Damn, you're gonna take a clip of your homie airballing a fucking fadeaway? That's messed up. At least get him hitting a shot. I mean, the feet were totally off balance. The chance of you making that shot the probability was very small. I wouldn't have taken it. But that's just me and my analytics before I'd even take a shot. That's just the basketball player in me. Your feet are off balance. You don't shoot it. The probability is higher if you pass it. Plus, you're probably going to get double teamed at that point. So then that means that there's always one person open in the court. So all you have to do is look for that open person because as two people are guarding you, one person's always open.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, CJ, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for calling in. Appreciate it. What's up?
Of course. Yes, I have a very southern accent. So.
Oh, you're fine.
Now, I'm not in any way like defending sororities and fraternities. I do think that there are some things that, looking back, I would have never wanted to be in one. But it was just, it's what I did. My parents were like, "You're going to Alabama." And I went through Rush. It was just like a non-negotiable. It was.
Oh, really?
There was no question. Yeah. Like, you know how kids go on tours to see schools? That didn't exist. I had two brothers, and our mom and dad, well, my dad went to Alabama, my mom went to Auburn. And they were just like, "Y'all are all going to Alabama." And we didn't think anything of it. I mean, it was fine.
Okay.
My older brother did not do fraternity, but my younger brother was really into it. But I just think, like, when we're talking about sororities, I cannot imagine a sorority saying to their members, "Do not call the police."
Right.
If someone dies, I don't know.
Right.
I was in college, 30 years ago, so it's
right.
A lot different now, but we were never told not to call the police for any reason, and especially off campus. I mean, my goodness, I cannot imagine a murder happening and thinking I couldn't call the police about it, that I needed to reach out to my sorority first. Like, that just blows my mind. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the questions we always had was why, if it is true, because we obviously don't know for sure 100 either way, but there's always been a lot of chatter how there was stuff going around social wise of information.
Or they call,
Or the fact that their friends were even called, multiple friends were even called over there before 911. So it always makes you wonder, like, obviously if friends are showing up before 911, there's going to be a lot of chatter on the social media.
But I do not understand that at all. Like, I don't know what the friends were going to do. Like, I don't know if they were. I don't know. Whatever happened in that house
It's
that
odd.
night, I think. Oh God, it's horrible, and it's. I don't know. There is something that is wrong though. That they called friends over and they didn't call the cops, and nobody really knows if the roommates were there, if they weren't. I don't know. It's,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did live off campus. Like my freshman year, we lived in a dorm, and then sophomore, junior year, you could live wherever you wanted. And then your senior year, you had the option of living in the house. But I always lived off campus with just other girls. And if something were to happen to them, I cannot imagine not
Mm-hmm.
just immediately calling the police or
Right.
doing something beyond my, I don't know. But the Sigma Chi's there do seem something ain't right. I don't know what it is.
Well, just look at the
I-
community, look at hell, did you get to see the body cam that we watched when they told that guy walking with the girl that they were going to make sure she got home safe?
Yes, that blew
I
my,
mean,
okay.
I think
don't
it's a community thing,
It has to be. I don't remember even seeing cops in college. I know that sounds crazy because I do know they busted people for having fake IDs, but it was random nights and bars that, like that ABC, whatever, the alcohol, tobacco people would come in and be like, "Show us your IDs," because we all had fake IDs, until we were 21.
Mm-hmm.
But cops were not out. But I don't remember ever seeing cops around. Like, I don't know. It was just a different time. So to see cops just preying on the students and, they're in college, of course they're drinking, and they're just writing them tickets and
Well, think about it like this.
citations.
What was the population of the town that you went to school, right? What was the population? Do you know? Because
I don't know. I was in Tuscaloosa, and
Okay,
it
it's
did have
pretty
a
decent.
it was a bigger city.
Yeah.
But the university itself, when I went, there were probably 25,000 students, and it's doubled now. It's
No.
grown.
Not the enrollment. I'm saying the community, and that's the difference right there. Because up there, they're in their own bubble. There's nobody else keeping them in check.
We didn't have that overlap of, people who were in Tuscaloosa, lived there, grew up there, had their own lives. That was separate from college. At least they didn't really coexist together. Like, I think Moscow is a small town, and
they had nothing better
there
to do.
is a lot of crossover between, the people that are from there and live there, and then the college students. And I do think in a smaller town, shadier stuff goes on.
For sure.
I do.
For sure, because they're in their own bubble.
I grew up in a small town, and I didn't do anything shady, but like I would get pulled over for speeding, and my dad is an attorney, and the cops would be like, "Leanne, just go home. Do you want us to call your dad?"
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
But it was stuff like that. I can see how, in a small town that the rules aren't always followed.
No. It's their way. It's their way. And that's what I mean. Like, that's why I think the LE's so involved with the students, is because it's such a small community. There's nothing else to do except for try and bust a bunch of kids or put them in positions, where there's pressure.
I agree. If they had to do noise complaints when we were in college, they would have been going to every single house.
Right? Exactly. That's right. It's petty. It's petty. It's harassment.
It's a moneymaker, but the disturbing part is they were taking pictures of the girls' IDs. Didn't that one cop have Maddie's phone number in his phone, like he had saved it?
Yeah, you could see one of them on a body cam where they were putting the phone number in their phone. It's and that's what we kind of talked about last night. Is like when I started out in construction when I was 18, and I had the guy basically telling me, look, do as I say, not as I do. And I saw there, and even though I wasn't necessarily taught a certain way to do things. I was shown a certain way to do things to get by and to take shortcuts and all these other things because of selfish reasons. And here it was up to me to decide, was I going to follow that same shit that I was learning?
Exactly. It's always up to
right.
you. It's an individual choice. It's your character and your moral compass and your integrity and what you. That's why I just don't know if a sorority would tell people, you better call us first.
Maybe
if someone has a good character, they know what is right and wrong. They're going to call the police. I don't know.
Well, it's, that we've heard that both of the sororities that the victims are affiliated with are under suspension. I've heard that before, after everything went down. And who knows, it could be part of that mentality up there where it's that small bubble. LE runs shit a certain way. The government up there runs shit a certain way. And when you look at sororities, it is a mixture of politics and youth activities, and you're going to get your influences. That's why I kind of talk about my influence with the construction part, because you have influences that are in front of you. It's up to you whether you take on. So the sororities in Tuscaloosa probably saw things, but they decided to take another path, or to make, to not take that part of what was presented to them. It may be up there, it's a completely different story. They saw how shit was going down, how people who ran things had power, and it could have been one of them things where the chapter up there, not necessarily the other ones, but maybe the one up there didn't want you to call LE first. They wanted to handle everything in-house, because if they have LE, think about it, if they have LE going there for noise complaints like crazy, you don't think they're going to Sigma Chi house like crazy too? And they don't want none of that. You get on suspension.
I don't know. It's so confusing to me because I just cannot imagine. Like, my first thought is we better call our sorority or whoever's in charge.
Just like inside the property, Why didn't DM or BF call 911 ASAP either?
Well, I think, I don't know.
Ain't that
I mean,
it's the same. It's like, how come they didn't call? How come they didn't call? What happened?
Yeah. I think you were talking about this last night when Dago came on, or maybe before, that there's a bigger investigation, and I feel like this is so layered, and that's why there's so much secrecy, and why certain things weren't done in the manner that they should have been done. I do think, I want to say that the FBI were up there investigating something else.
That's what I feel anymore.
I don't happen to distract them from whatever they were investigating, or if it was just a bad thing that I don't know. It's mind blowing. We never had anything like people murdered in their off-campus homes in Tuscaloosa. That would have been just like the whole place would have shut down. And
sure.
I think that I forgot what I was going to ask you about the dash cams and stuff. Like, I hope that girl, if she has seen that footage, I hope her parents have seen it and they take some sort of action, because they actually put her in more danger.
Yeah. The way that they let her walk away. Right. Yeah. If I was her man, I'd be going to the station and I'd be throwing a fucking fit. Damn straight.
I mean, how drunk she was, but she walked off in the middle of the night by herself down the river. Anything.
Yeah, we'd have problems.
Everything was happening.
Yeah, we'd for sure have problems.
Okay, I hate to bring up JLR, but he did go to Moscow right after this happened, and he was just walking around the neighborhood and all around it, and he walked by the Sigma Chi house, and there was he was videoing everything like he does, There were about 25 state trooper cars parked in front of it. And
Oh,
this
wow.
was like end of November, beginning of December. Yes. I don't know if that video still exists. And I thought, what? Are they having a meeting with the Sigma Chi's? Like, why are 25 state trooper cars parked in front of them? They were parked all along the Banfield Road and in front of the Sigma Chi house.
Yeah, if you come across that video, if you look, send it to me, and we'll definitely check it out. I mean, I'm sure that, you know, when it comes to all of their interviews that they talk, I mean, look at how many they probably, you know, they gave out a big number, you know, 600 and some. And yeah, look, you saw the video, how many Sigma Chi members are just at that house. That takes up a huge chunk of them.
That's where they're conducting interviews, but at the same time, I'm wondering if they were there getting the story straight.
Yeah. Yeah,
But they were
because
gonna-
why are the friends there? Members of Sigma Chi were there,
Yeah,
you know?
I know. I've heard that. I've heard that Hunter Johnson and his girlfriend were either there that night, or Emily, his girlfriend, lived next door, and he had spent the night. He was right there that night.
They all live in that little area, you know, and there was people there that's why we always wondered, why wasn't anybody called inside the property? Why didn't anybody call 911? Why didn't anybody that showed up before 911 or Ellie showed up, why didn't they call 911? Like, why? What? The whole 8-hour gap, you know?
Right. What are they
Why?
afraid of?
Right. Why? And that's why I kind of like, I don't know. I always kind of felt like there was a reason why nobody wanted to say something or called. And I don't know. I've always felt like the Sigma Chi up there had something to do with suppressing information.
I do agree with you on that. For whatever reason, you know, it could be
Influenced something.
as diabolical as we think, and like, I don't know, maybe somebody had a hand in it, or they knew what was happening and just didn't.
Or the
report
cops really run that frickin' town, and they run the sorority too. I mean, it's when you're talking about how they can harass people up there, I'm surprised there's no complaints filed against any of them from any of the community members. Honestly, with what I've been seeing on these body cams, I'm surprised. And it's probably one of those situations where they're powerful. Their power is so strong, you can't go in front of a judge and file a complaint because you're not going to be believed. Then you're going to get retaliated against afterwards. And it's probably the same thing with the sororities. You know, as long as they go by as long as they don't piss off the cops, they'll be good. They won't get bothered. And that's more important.
The cops are protecting them in a little bit of a way too. I don't know.
It's all super freaking odd, and I can't wait to find out what all the truth is when it comes to this. For sure.
Sadly, I'm starting to believe we may never know the whole truth. And
yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard when nobody's talking, you know, and when we're going off of PCAs that are shoddy as hell, holes in them. It's hard. Yeah, I can see how we may never find it, but maybe we will. You know, maybe when this comes to trial and we hear the experts, we get the bullshit from, the bullshit evidence, but we're smart and we can kind of figure out what's what, and we can pretty much, I think once the trial happens and we start to hear all these experts and things and information that comes out, we'll have a pretty good.
This is what I've really believed from the beginning, that Ellie and the prosecution are throwing the trial so it will get thrown out, because they know if Brian is involved, he's not the only one, and maybe they want it to get thrown out, and then it'll never come up again. And so there won't be a trial that will have people testifying to what happened that night. And, you know, I really feel like they have intentionally done a terrible job. in their
I think they were
investigation.
trying. I think they were banking on him making a plea deal.
If he's innocent, then why would he?
It's
But I don't
happened
know.
before.
We don't
It's
know if he's innocent or he's guilty.
it's
But I
happened.
do believe, and
You know.
you're innocent or proven guilty.
There's
and what
plenty of times. Sorry.
I would never send someone to a firing squad if I were on that jury with the evidence
Mm-mm.
that they
No.
showing us now.
No.
Not ever do that.
But it happens. There's plenty of times where people confess when they didn't even do it, because they have a death penalty hanging on them, and they'll take the plea deal to get the death penalty off, and then they'll assume it's a better way than getting the death penalty, because they're being set up or framed. And that's what I think that they were banking on. I think that they were banking on giving the courts a bunch of fluff and then putting a whole bunch of pressure. I think they were the ones leaking shit to MSM. I think they were the ones putting out all this information so the community would be like, he's guilty, he's guilty. So then when it came to this time, everybody's like, you know what? He's guilty as hell. And then hopefully he would plea out to get the DP off. And I think with all of us doing what we've been doing, digging into this stuff, exposing different parts of it, that's why they're fumbling papers and they can't come up with the shit, because they weren't banking on this shit happening. They were banking on BK saying, okay, let's make a deal.
Right. And Ann Taylor is a phenomenal public defender. I know that is one of the hardest jobs, and I just commend her for really, really doing a good job.
Mm-hmm.
And she's probably, I've always thought too that she was like, this is my time to expose this corruption. We're going all the way, because she's seen it with her own eyes. She's really sick of it. And I hate that people think when we say we, as in generalized people, that they did a terrible investigation, he's going to walk. We're not saying that we like Brian Koberger and,
Mm-hmm.
people will say, you're a BK fan. No, I want the right person
Mm-hmm.
to be arrested and to be held accountable. And that's where the true justice will come.
Right. Because that's what justice is, the right person being convicted of the right crime. That's what justice
Exactly.
is. Mm-hmm.
And
100.
I'm starting to feel like these families aren't going to have it, because if this trial is a mistrial, gets thrown out, I do not see them going back and starting over investigating, because they would have done that in the first place.
Yeah.
Trying to find the person who did this,
Mm-hmm.
or people who did this.
They jumped the gun, and I think their bluff was called, and now they're being asked to lay their cards, and they're fumbling.
Well, I feel like they did the whole thing backwards. Honestly, like, this is the most backwards investigation to get to an arrest I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. I don't know. I just hope an innocent man doesn't get convicted and a guilty man doesn't get set free. And that's all, like you said, justice, the right person for the right crime. So thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate you. It's definitely interested in hearing your experiences when it comes to it, with the fraternity angle, and I appreciate you hopping up and calling. Definitely, if you're interested, I'd love to hear more from you on the Hangout show.
I mean,
and
it didn't rule my life. Like, I just did it.
Yeah.
I did make great friends. I had other friends that weren't in sororities or fraternities, and it was just what people do. Alabama is pretty notorious for its Greek system, good and bad. And there are some things that are kind of questionable, like, looking back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
Oh,
why
for
did
sure.
I not follow that? Like, I don't know. But they never said, like, I would have never.
Yeah, they never came out right and said, but it's one of those, like, kind of unwritten kind of things,
Yeah.
or the pressure of.
But yeah, I can. There's actually a documentary. it made me actually cry when I watched it about 40 or at Rush, Alabama Rush. I think it's on Hulu, maybe HBO. It's awful. I don't remember it being that way, but I was probably just not aware. They have suicide hotlines now.
Yeah.
Rush Week, and
Because of the hazing.
it's break my heart. These girls, that's all they want is to get, and I'm just like, the only day, like 30 years later, it makes me, it was pretty eye-opening. But
Yeah. Jennifer S. said she saw it was crazy, so sad. Yeah.
it really upset me because it was not, maybe it was, and maybe I was oblivious to it because
A lot of stuff going on at that time, when you're going to college, you're that age, there's a lot of stuff going on in your head, and it's easy to kind of be distracted.
Yeah, and we didn't have social media. I feel so bad. This generation growing up the way they have, it's definitely affected them in not very good way, I believe.
Yeah, and it's just going to get worse. That's why we need to tackle the social media stuff now, before it becomes a monster we can't take out. It's constantly changing, it's constantly growing every single day, and it's just going to get worse. So we just have to be more aware about all that stuff. So
Okay,
yeah.
well, you're live, I believe, aren't you?
I'm sorry, what?
Aren't you getting ready to have another live?
Yep. We'll be going live in about 20 minutes. So definitely, I appreciate you. Great conversation. If you're ever able to jump up on panel, please do. Then we can all kind of talk amongst ourselves when I have a group up there. So you're more than welcome. Thank you for the conversation. Very respectful. I appreciate it. And thank you for being a positive member of the community. Since you came in the show, I really appreciate it. I really do.
I've watched a channel, Flipper, and I have found the places where I like to come back to now, and definitely your channel is top of the list.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, there's no the Krama. I don't know if you've heard about the Krama.
Yeah.
People definitely participate in that.
Yeah.
And it makes gross. I don't like that. So I will definitely be watching tonight.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, and we deal with enough drama in our lives as it is before we even get to YouTube. So I'm not trying to add more to it, So
yeah, it's that time.
Yeah. Right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you for calling in, and thank you everybody for hanging out for this episode. What a great way to end the episode with the phone call from LA. So thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you. Well, I wanted to share a couple things. This is gotta say community freeze, because we're going to be sharing some things here real quick before we get into some more of the kids stuff. This is Uncovering the Cover continued. Isn't this interesting though? Grandmaster Fry. Who's Fry, huh? What? What's up, Tom?
Grandmaster.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
But this is Grandmaster Fry, Harry L. Fry. Harry L. Grandmaster Fry. It's like, oh, that's interesting. This is another one because we've been talking about Christchurch stuff too. Because I believe it all kind of intertwines together. And this is from DougWilsonBelieves.com. Doug Wilson. Now, we've heard all the crazy ass shit that he's come out with before. Some of the stuff we've even played. We even had a show where one of the survivors that left what she considers a cult, described and everything. And you talk to people that are from there, and if they're intermingled with this organization, I mean, it's a lot of the same story. I checked it out before I started getting into it a year ago. I checked out some of the sermons and I was like, what the all I'm gonna watch, just go to the video that we did. It's got to be like a couple weeks ago, where there was a survivor that escaped, and when you hear that, because I talk about a lot of other stuff in that episode when it comes to talking to others too. So definitely check out that episode and you'll see exactly what we're saying here when it comes to this. This is something else that was interesting. Mark Rosendahl, guess whose dad that is a chaplain at the Christ Church.
This trying to hold my tongue, trying not to explode on your show, CJ.
Just hold on. So, Mark Rosendahl is chaplain at Christ Church in Moscow. You can see this. That's the family, the son, Nathaniel. Okay. Nathaniel, right? Who's Nathaniel? Nathaniel is Moscow PD, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mark Rosendahl's Facebook. There's Nathaniel right there. When it comes to this church, right? We played this video a long time ago. Now, this is an episode that we played a long time ago when we started to get into it. Okay. And this discusses how the pastor there wants to make Moscow a Christian town. Now, they only have 10% of the population, okay, which roughly is about 2,000 people.
As it was, as a mutually affectionate relationship between master and slave, or saying that members of our LGBTQ community, trans people, should be exiled or possibly stoned. That catches our attention.
Wilson says he was misunderstood, rebutting the many controversies on his website.
All you have to do is go watch some of the sermons, not only his, but the other one.
A K through 12 school, a publishing house,
See?
a college, and a streaming show.
See?
Pursuits that some worry will change the very character of this town.
You don't need to go anywhere, children. You just stay right here. Attended this organization and the kind of tactics and stuff that they do, and it makes you think of like Scientology shit.
Right?
Right.
Yes. Like
Real.
Scientology is just,
I was also thinking that.
I don't know. They came out number 2.
yeah, I don't know how that
Number
happened.
2 safest college, right?
Okay.
And WSU's suspending all the frat stuff like all these other colleges are now because I think of the rituals. And
Yeah. I've heard about those rituals.
well, you know what's crazy is a shout out Kelly Miller. She brought it up. She was like, I wonder if these. You guys know what Bohemian Grove is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Evil.
She was like, I wonder if they have rituals like, those one kind of rituals or whatever. And I instantly thought Bohemian Grove, and I wouldn't be surprised because Bohemian Grove's full of politics too, just like the Frats are. And when I want to say shout out to Kelly Miller because I'm going to share something else with you here. Sigma Chi initiation ritual. Shout out Kelly Miller. Yeah, Bohemian Grove is crazy. This is the ritual. Ain't this some crazy shit? I'm not going to read it out loud, but it tells you who says what. Yeah, this is who says what. Each segment of the ceremony. It's like a script to a movie.
Oh my God.
The obligation, presentation, explanation, entering the lecture, the exemplification, the enrollment, the charge, the friendship circle, closing. Brothers,
What does the
we
friendship
partner.
circle say?
Friendship circle. Consult to the new initiates at the chapter meeting closing. It is traditional to conduct the friendship circle, which is begun by the council, passing around the circle, commencing with the annotator, giving to each brother in turn the fraternal grip and saying, I seek true friendship. And the answer from each brother is, you find it here. As I proceed around the circle, I am followed closely by the annotator, whom the brothers shall follow consecutively, starting with the most recent initiate.
Oh.
I wouldn't be surprised, yo, if it was some fucking Bohemian Grove type shit.
See,
And
I
if
was
anybody,
I
Go
was
ahead.
asking CJ because I was wondering if there was in anywhere like the Freemasons do, to pledge, if there's any kind of pledge of loyalty to another member, even in legal situations, because that is a Freemasonry pledge. So I just wondered if there was anything close
I'm
to that
sure.
in here.
I'm sure it's all tied in. Are these groups and organizations very political, right? I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, some of the grub truck group,
Ooh.
anybody that has been around for that long when I discussed it, I wouldn't be surprised if some of that and some of those higher ups that are the Sigma Chi buddies over there aren't at those ceremonies overseeing all of it either. Wouldn't that
So-
be some shit?
This is for new members, right? It's like
Yeah. This
initiation.
is this is the Sigma Chi initiation ritual, and it's got the opening, light of the 7 lights, the prayer, entrance of the magister and candidates, the vouching, the enlightenment, the lighting of the 7 candles.
Oof, that sounds crazy.
The 3 great aims, the appearance of Constantine. I mean, when you go through our episodes that we did on it, those are members live only. We kind of went into, I mean, I definitely suggest any of you guys, if you are a member, go just type in Sigma Chi in the show. We really got into the hierarchy and the positions and even the reenactment of how it became a fraternity and all sorts of stuff. I mean, you guys definitely want to go check it out because it'll go even deeper in this stuff that we're talking about right here. But I wanted to share that. Shout out Kay Miller for that. And this was, if you guys look at the date, this was 9 days before the unaliving at 11:22. Okay, so keep that in mind as we watch this video.
Police sergeant who reportedly engaged in sexual activity while on duty resigned earlier this week. Police Sergeant Matt Kurt was facing disciplinary proceedings after allegedly engaging in inappropriate activity while on duty in Pullman and on the Pullman campus. He was placed on home assignment in March when those allegations were first brought to the university's attention. His resignation now comes 3 months after WSU Police Chief Bill Gardner, Assistant Chief Steve Hansen, and Captain Mike Larson all announced their retirements after being served notice in July pending disciplinary action as well.
Look at all. I mean, this was 9 days before the crime took place. Twin brothers. What have I been saying? Twin brothers.
Wow.
Twin brothers.
That's that place. It's like the portal to hell or something. It's like a portal.
Okay over there? Is your victim at the hospital? Someone shot there. Alright, do you see them take pictures of the, is it domestic related?